Story 1. So this happened last week, but I still think about it sometimes and feel both secondhand rage and pity. A new guy joined my team at the start of last month who we will call Sam. Sam is a quiet guy, early 30s, polite to a fault, always looking over his shoulder like he's about to get in trouble. At first, I thought he was just shy, but within a week, I figured something was off. He'd get these phone calls every 30 minutes, like clockwork. Eventually, I asked him if everything was okay. That's when he admitted it was his mother. She needed to know what he was doing at all times. Like, literally, where are you sitting? What are you eating? Who are you talking to? Type updates. He said he was raised that way and just never broke the habit. I could see him shrink into himself every time she called, like life got sucked out of him in real time. Anyway, it's the month end, and we had to stay back late to wrap up some department reporting. Everyone stayed a couple extra hours. It was quiet. We were all working, and suddenly Sam's phone rings again. He steps outside. 2 minutes later, he comes back inside looking white as a sheet and says, "Hey, Mr. Coco, my mom wants to speak with you." I thought he was joking. He was not. He looked like he was about to cry. I took the call out of sheer disbelief. And oh boy, I wish I hadn't. This woman unleashed on me. "How dare you make my son work past office hours? He needs to come home and rest. You don't know what he's been through. Don't you know how dangerous the roads are?" I was too stunned to even respond properly. I just said, "Ma'am, I think Sam can explain the situation better," and handed the phone back. And that's when something amazing happened. Sam finally snapped. He didn't yell, but his voice was steady. "I need this job, Mom. You can't keep doing this. I'm staying late because that's my responsibility and everyone is here too. Please just stop." It was quiet for a second, and then he just ended the call. Honestly, I was proud of him. I know how hard it is to stand up to your parents, especially when they tried to control you your whole life. We wrapped up an hour later. I offered to take him out for a cold drink just to decompress, and he looked like someone who had finally removed a 20-year-old weight off his chest. But when I dropped him off near his house, he gave me a small, awkward smile and just said, "Thanks, tonight's going to be rough." I haven't heard his mom's voice since then, but he still gets those calls, just less frequently now. I really hope he makes it out okay. Some cages don't even have bars, you just carry them in your head. Story 2. This started about 15 years ago. I bought a house. In my town, most houses have only street parking. I wanted a driveway. No more dealing with snowplows packing snow against your car. No more not being able to park near your house. Things like that. When I got the keys to my house, there was a car in the driveway. I asked my new, older neighbor if he knew who it belonged to. He said, "Yeah, me." He explained that the previous owners let him park there while they were renovating the house because he needed a space, and they wanted people to think someone lived there. It worked for both of them. I told him, "Cool, but I'm going to need the space. Could you please move it?" He responded, "I really don't know where I'd put it." I told him, "Sorry, I understand, but please move it." We kept going over to the house, taking measurements, and gradually bringing a few things each time. We had to carry them up the driveway and around his car. I kept asking him to move it, and he kept saying he would work on it. Finally, 2 weeks later, and after many requests, I knocked on his door and told him, "Tomorrow is the actual move-in day. I've got professional movers and a truck coming, and the driveway will need to be clear." He said, "Sorry about your luck. I have permission to park there." I told him it was really weighing heavily on me to have to argue with my new neighbor, but I owned the property now. I told him that if the car wasn't gone in the morning by 8 a.m., I would have it towed. He shouted, "Forget you, tough luck," and slammed the door. It was gone the next morning. He stood outside, and when I pulled in, he screamed at me, "You'll regret the day you messed with me." Well, okay then. For the next 15 years, he made me miserable. He pointed spotlights at my back porch every time we sat out there. He even half-painted his house, not just half of each side, but patches on half of every side. I'm not exaggerating. Then he said to me, "So, how do you like this paint job? You'll be looking at this until you die. See what it does to your resale value." And he laughed like a hyena. 8 years later, it's still not painted. He would play the most awful music at 6 a.m. on Saturdays and point the speakers directly at my house. He would start up chainsaws at 6 a.m. on Sunday mornings, cutting random pieces of wood for no apparent reason. It was non-stop. He did so many bizarre things, it would take days to tell you all about them. I tried talking to them. I tried calling the police. I tried everything. He took his own life a couple of months ago, and I genuinely feel bad about it. I spoke to his wife and told her I was sorry for her loss. I told her that if she needed anything, she could just ask. If she needed help lifting anything or needed support of any kind, she could let me know. She looked me straight in the eye and said, "If you had just let him park his car in your driveway, maybe he wouldn't have done it. So, I don't need anything from you." This morning, she threw a trash bag full of dog waste into my yard. So, it looks like the torch has been passed on to her. I truly hope things don't continue down this road. Story 3. I bought my car last year after working 2 jobs for 3 years to save up the down payment. It was my first new vehicle, a black sedan with all the safety features I wanted. I take meticulous care of it, washing it weekly and keeping the interior spotless. That Tuesday, I headed to the gym for my regular workout after finishing a long shift at the hospital where I work as a nurse. The gym helps me decompress after dealing with difficult patients all day. I parked in my usual spot, making sure to leave plenty of space for other cars. After a 2-hour session focusing on leg exercises, I limped back to my car feeling accomplished but exhausted. I noticed something white stuck under my windshield wiper from several spaces away. At first, I thought it was an advertisement or maybe a parking ticket, though I couldn't imagine why I'd get one. When I got closer, I saw it was a handwritten note on the back of a grocery receipt. It reads someone hit my car at 3:15 p.m. while trying to park beside me. They crashed into my front passenger side bumper and then drove away. The note mentioned the driver worked at Domino's Pizza down the block. It also said the manager at Sobeys grocery store had more information for me. The Good Samaritan had signed their name and left a phone number in case I needed a witness. I immediately checked my car and found significant damage to the front bumper. There was a deep crack running across the corner with blue paint transfer clearly visible. I felt sick to my stomach seeing the damage to my prized possession. The crack was directly over one of the parking sensors, which would make the repair even more expensive. I called the witness number first to thank them for leaving the note. They described seeing a blue Domino's delivery car attempting to park next to me, hitting my bumper, then backing out and parking elsewhere. The driver had gotten out, looked at both cars, then hurried into the gym without leaving any information. The witness confronted him as he came out 15 minutes later, but he claimed there was no damage and drove away. I headed straight to Sobeys in the same plaza as the gym. The manager was expecting me since the witness had spoken to him earlier. He showed me their security camera footage, which partially captured the incident. We could clearly see the Domino's car hit mine, and the driver examining both vehicles before leaving. The manager gave me the license plate number and confirmed the driver worked at Domino's. He also provided his contact information in case insurance needed to speak with him. I thanked him for his help and headed to Domino's just a block away. On the way, I called my insurance company to report the incident. They told me to get the other driver's information and file a police report for the hit and run. They warned me the driver might try to settle privately to avoid insurance increases. I took several pictures of my damaged bumper from different angles showing the crack and paint transfer. When I arrived at Domino's, I spotted a blue car matching the description with damage on its front bumper. I took pictures of it as well, clearly showing my black paint transferred to its blue surface. I walked inside feeling angry but determined to handle this professionally. A teenage employee asked if I wanted to place an order. I asked to speak with the manager instead. A man in his 40s approached me looking tired from what was probably a long shift. I explained that one of his delivery drivers had hit my car and left the scene without providing information. I showed him the note, my pictures, and mentioned the security footage from Sobeys. The manager looked concerned and called someone from the back area. A young man in a Domino's uniform came out looking nervous when he saw me. The manager explained the situation to him in English. The driver immediately switched to speaking another language that I didn't understand. The manager translated that the driver was willing to pay for the damage privately. He asked how much the repair would cost. I had already called the dealership while waiting for the police to arrive at Sobeys. They estimated $2,000 for a new bumper and sensor, plus painting to match my car. When the manager translated this amount, the driver's attitude completely changed. He spoke rapidly in his language, gesturing angrily. The manager's demeanor also shifted from helpful to hostile. He accused me of trying to scam them over a small scratch. I showed him again that it wasn't a scratch, but a cracked bumper with damaged sensors. The driver continued speaking in his native language despite having spoken English moments before. The manager translated that the driver now denied hitting my front bumper at all. He suggested someone else must have caused the damage. I reminded them about the witness, security footage, and matching paint transfer between our vehicles. I asked for the driver's license and insurance information to file a proper claim. The manager refused, saying they wouldn't give me anything. He accused me of trying to extort money from a hardworking immigrant. I explained that I just wanted to handle this through insurance as required by law. I reminded them that leaving the scene of an accident without providing information was illegal. They argued with me for another 5 minutes, becoming increasingly hostile. Other employees watched uncomfortably as customers waited for their orders. Finally, the manager threatened to call the police if I didn't leave immediately. I smiled and told him that would be perfect, as I needed a police report anyway. His face showed surprise at my response. He pulled out his phone and called emergency services while glaring at me. I calmly sat down at an empty table to wait, texting my roommate that I'd be home late. The manager loudly told me the police were coming and I would be in trouble for harassment. I nodded and continued waiting, scrolling through social media on my phone. 20 minutes passed with an awkward standoff. The manager called the police again, complaining about the wait time. Another 15 minutes went by. The manager made a third call, now visibly agitated. Finally, 2 police officers walked in looking annoyed at being called repeatedly. One officer asked what the problem was. The manager started explaining rapidly, portraying me as the aggressor. The officer held up his hand and asked to hear from each person separately. I showed the officer the note, pictures of both cars, and explained the witness and security footage. I played a video the Sobeys manager had sent me showing the incident. The officer asked to see both vehicles in person. We all walked outside to examine the cars. The second officer asked the driver for his license and registration. The driver hesitated, but eventually handed them over when the officer insisted. The first officer examined the damage on both cars closely. He pointed out the clear impact marks and matching paint transfer. He ran his finger along the crack in my bumper and noticed the damaged sensor. The officers spoke privately for a moment before addressing us. The first officer provided me with the driver's full information for my insurance claim. He informed me that the driver was receiving a ticket for leaving the scene of an accident. Then he turned to the Domino's manager with visible irritation. He scolded him for wasting emergency resources over what should have been a simple exchange of insurance information. He explained that calling 911 3 times for a non-emergency tied up dispatchers who handle life-threatening situations. The manager looked down, no longer making eye contact with anyone. The officer told me the driver had 30 days to have his insurance assess the damage. If they failed to do so, he would be automatically found at fault for the full amount. I asked if I needed to file a separate police report. The officer said he would file it himself based on today's incident. He provided me with a case number for my insurance company. As the police left, the other Domino's employees returned to work, giving their manager disappointed looks. The driver was now on his phone, likely calling his insurance company. The manager mumbled an apology without looking at me. I collected all my documentation and put it safely in my glove compartment. Before leaving, I called the witness to thank them again for their help. Without their note, I might never have identified who damaged my car. They were happy to hear about the resolution and offered to provide a statement to insurance if needed. I drove home thinking about how differently this could have gone if the driver had simply left a note. The next morning, I received a call from the driver's insurance company. They had already been notified of the claim and wanted to schedule an inspection of my vehicle. 3 days later, an adjuster examined my car and confirmed the damage matched the incident description. Within a week, the insurance company authorized the repair at the dealership. While my car was being fixed, they covered a rental car for me to use. 2 weeks after the incident, I picked up my car looking good as new. The repair ended up costing $2,200, even more than the initial estimate. I later learned from a friend who ordered Domino's that the manager had been reprimanded for his handling of the situation. The driver received additional training on company policy for accidents and was suspended for a week. All this trouble could have been avoided with a simple note and insurance exchange. Instead, it escalated into police involvement and formal consequences for everyone involved. I now have a dashcam installed in my car to record any future incidents. Sometimes doing the right thing isn't the easiest path, but it's still the right one. Story 4. I live in an older apartment complex, but I don't mind because it has security and nice amenities. Most folks own their units, but some rent them out. I got a great deal for renting during the pandemic. Even though it is older, the average unit sells for over $1 million due to the current housing market. So, it's a mix of older folks who bought when it was cheap, new money, and middle-class renters. It can be a bit of a hassle getting up to my apartment from the street since it's 2 elevator rides street to security, and security to apartment, especially when it's super busy. Right now, only one household at a time can be in the elevators since they aren't big enough for proper social distancing, which can take even more time. Management also modified the elevators so that they don't stop if someone is already inside, to avoid people trying to hop in while you're going to your floor. So now it doesn't really matter if you press the up or the down button, all it does is call an elevator, and you can go wherever you need. This was explained clearly in an email sent to everyone in the complex. I'm heading back to my place after walking my dog, with my headphones on a purchase I saved up for over a long time and use daily, including for work. We get to the first set of elevators, and there is an older couple and a middle-aged woman waiting. She's a typical upper-class resident for the building: pearls, diamond earrings, a big wedding ring, fancy clothes, probably has a husband who is a senior design engineer or something, while she works as a marketing manager. I see that only the up button is pressed, so I push the down button to call another elevator and return to my spot in line. I know that once their elevator leaves, I can press the up button again and save everyone some time, especially since 2 more post-dog walk folks are now behind me. The older couple leave in their elevator, and then the second one comes. My glasses are quite foggy at this point, but I see this woman waving for me to take it, so I pull off my headphones. I tell her, "You were here first, no worries, I'll catch the next one. It's going down, it's for you." "Oh, I was just calling another 11. Don't you see the line? Get in the elevator." She's being rather rude. She doesn't seem to know how the elevators work now, even though it's been a year. I decide it's not my job to explain why she is mistaken, so I put on my headphones, get in, and press the button for floor 1 to get to the security desk. While the doors are closing, she must have pressed the up button, because they open back up. I press the door close button and hear a loud, "What?" over my music. She then sprints into the elevator and sees that I am going up. "Oh, so that's it. You couldn't wait, so you lied. You skipped me. This is my elevator, get out," she yells while holding her hand over the door sensor so they won't close. I pause the music on my headphones and say, "I said I would catch the next one, but you insisted. She must have thought I was turning my music up and ignoring her, because she suddenly starts grabbing at my headphones and smacks me right across the face. "Take those off. This is my elevator, you liar. Forget you. Get out of my elevator." My 40-pound cattle dog is deaf, but he's not clueless. He starts barking and growling in full force, which causes the woman to jump back, still holding my headphones in her hands. I'm trying to drag him out of the elevator when she suddenly runs forward and kicks him square in the stomach. Then, she throws my headphones to the ground, stomps on them, and kicks them out of the elevator before taking her ride up. I'm in shock, and the other people who were waiting in line are clearly just as stunned, all this over an elevator. Thankfully, after about 20 minutes, my dog gets up. He seems fine, but is noticeably skittish. One of the folks in line must have told security what happened, because a guard eventually came down to talk to me. The police have been called. All the security camera footage is being reviewed, and the woman has been identified. I was asked to wait upstairs. I give my statement, and we ride up together to the security office. She's already there along with her husband and the 2 other residents who were behind me. Yep, he's definitely some sort of upper management tech guy, wearing a button-up shirt tucked into dark blue jeans. I ask if I can quickly take my dog to my apartment, and they say yes. I do so and return shortly after. Her husband asks me how much the headphones cost. I tell him $400, though I had used a coupon code to get them. He pulls the money out of his wallet and hands it to me. I quickly take it and put it in my pocket. The woman looks smug, like this isn't the first time throwing money at a problem has helped her avoid consequences. But did she really forget that she didn't just break my headphones? The police then ask if I want to press charges. I say yes. She immediately starts yelling at me. Her husband is trying to hold her back and pull her away from both the police and me, while she continues shouting insults and inappropriate language, one after another. When she starts screaming that she hopes something bad happens to my dog, and then yells that she wants to harm him, the officers deploy their taser and take her down to the patrol vehicle. Her husband follows behind. From what I understand, she is being charged with physical assault, animal cruelty, assault on a police officer, resisting arrest, and public intoxication. All this just because of a miscommunication and wanting to save 3 minutes waiting for an elevator. Story 5. This happened just yesterday. I am currently working from home due to COVID-19 and being on a national lockdown. However, I had an appointment to attend, so I booked a half-day holiday. My shift was over and I changed out of my PJs. Working from home, no need to get dressed. I then dress smart but casual, black denim chunky cream knitted jumper. I'm in the UK, so it's cold, and black jacket. Looking smart, I dragged a brush through my hair and slapped on a bit of eye makeup, looking half decent, and made my way out. Following my appointment, and this day being a Friday, my weekend started early. In a good mood, I decided to get my shopping out of the way. This way I don't have to venture out over the weekend. Since lockdown, I have been doing the bulk of shopping online and only needed a few things: fresh fruit and vegetables, maybe some chicken. I fancied making fajitas for supper. So sporting a mask and soaked in hand sanitizer, I am ready to brave the shops. On my route to the bus stop home is a large-ish supermarket. I decided it was great to get everything I needed. So, not needing much, I opted for a pull-along basket and started my way around the store. I am familiar with a place, so I am able to navigate my way to quickly get in and out. However, I can't resist bargains, and I notice they are having sales on homewares, cushions, bedding, etc. so I headed in to take a peek. So I'm on my knees rummaging in the bedding and finding close to the bottom a duvet set in colors that fit nicely with my bedroom. This thing is a bargain, 75% off the original price. In my basket it goes. Realizing I made a bit of a mess, I started to tidy it up and put the things back that had been displaced during my rummage. That's when it happened. "Excuse me," someone said while poking me in the back. "Where are the cushions?" I looked up to see a woman in her 20s pushing a pushchair, stroller for the guys across the pond, and another child, about 3 or 4, holding the pushchair. I said, "Huh. Cushions, cushions," she blurted. So I pointed to the back wall about 5 feet away and said, "At the far end?" She never said thanks but maneuvered the pushchair in that direction, stopping to reach into my basket, taking out the duvet set, looking it over, and throwing it back into the basket. I stood there with a "what the heck" face, confused and shocked at so many personal infractions. This woman firstly not observing the social distance rules, plus having no manners and downright rude. I hadn't at this point made the connection that she had mistaken me for the store staff. Anyway, I'm almost done. I just need shampoo, so I'm heading that way as it is at the other end of the store, but the store is not that big. I reach the toiletries aisle to see the rude woman stomping her feet, flailing her arms and shouting obscenities in front of her children at a young teenager. She is demanding 3 more of the cushion she is holding, telling her to go fetch them now. The teenager is visibly shaken, trying to tell this vile woman that she doesn't work there. At this point, the vile woman sees me. She starts clicking her fingers and gesturing that I go to her. My brain has now worked out what is going on. I walk towards her, all the while she is ranting about cushions. It was hard to make out, as by now the children with her are screaming in distress. As soon as I am close enough, I just raised my hand for her to stop, instructed her to observe social distance from the teenager, who is now shaking with tears rolling down her face. I then tell the screeching vile banshee to shut up while clicking my fingers at her. I look her dead in the eye and slowly, in a very firm voice, say, "She doesn't work here. I don't work here." Staff and manager have now arrived. The vile banshee immediately starts screaming her version of events, while myself and the distraught teenager are ushered towards another member of staff, who gestures to us to go to the front of the store to the customer service area, where there is seating. I explained what happened with me, while the teenager, still shaking, explained what happened with her. Around 30 minutes later, I see the screeching banshee being escorted out of the store by the police. The manager comes to us and apologizes for the experience. He instructs the staff to ring up our purchases without charge, and then gives the teenager and myself a £100 store card for the inconvenience. Apparently the rude screaming banshee was banned from the store. Just so you know, the staff wear a blue uniform and blue tabards. Absolutely nothing like what I nor the teenager were wearing. Story 6. Mainly due to their attitude towards our use of our own property. We're semi-detached, and it's the neighbors adjacent to us that are not attached but share a driveway, and there's no divide between ours or their garden except for the back. We moved in about 4 years ago, just me and my partner and our precious big dog. Everything was pretty mundane. Neighbors weren't really much bothered. But then again, we didn't really do much as we just moved, and we were still settling in. However, for whatever reason the past year, the neighbors have become increasingly obnoxious and inconsiderate. They have a daughter who regularly visits and constantly parks outside our house despite plenty of other spaces available, as there are no houses in front of us, and there's even a lobby area a few meters down the road, literally 10 seconds away. We've asked her to move several times now as we have cameras watching over the cars, and if she parks there we have to park further down the street, leaving the cars unguarded overnight, unless we wait until she leaves and go move them back, which is usually 11 p.m. or later, long after we head to bed for work. It's in front of a dropped curb she parks, and we know we can get the council involved, but would rather not resort to that. Annoying as that is, it's not the worst, not even close. A while back we had asbestos sheets removed from our garage as it had cracked under the weight of the neighbor's tree. We said nothing about it because we wanted rid of it regardless, for obvious reasons. When the work started, the neighbors said, "Oh, feel free to get rid of any bushes or trees in your way." However, when the neighbors realized it was asbestos on account of the PPE, they went crazy and said we should have quarantined the street and organized an action plan. And because we didn't, we should have gone in and basically landscaped their backyard, as they now viewed it as contaminated. They said this while standing next to the sheets, without PPE on. Yes, they thought it was very dangerous indeed. The roof sheets were intact apart from the one his tree broke, and any expert, or even Google search, will tell you it's safe so long as it's intact and not broken up. Conveniently, a few months after they had people getting rid of trees, bushes, etc., who also did not have PPE on, so if they thought it was dangerous, they would have said, or more likely didn't care to inform the workers. Hindsight, they obviously just wanted us to pay to get their back done. Moving on, the summer came, and they let their kid run about the front garden and sides of the house along both our shared driveways. They literally left him out and let him do whatever he wanted for hours, so his idea of fun was to collect stones from the garden and dump them all over both sides of mine and the neighbor's property, as well as leaving toys everywhere. He then began inviting the kids from the street to play in theirs and our garden, and the noise was getting unbearable. Every day, like a nursery, it was unbearable. The noise constantly irritated my dog and made her anxious. My partner, who is a nurse and does night shifts, didn't sleep properly for a week, just infuriated me to the point that I had it and said it. I'm building a fence between us and them, to stop the kids from playing on our side and to get a bit of privacy and distance from the neighbors. Me, being a friendly neighbor, gave them a heads up and said I'd make sure I kept to our boundary and even a few cm in to be sure. Neighbor seemed delighted and said it would solve the stone problem. Failed to apologize for it, however. Then said it would add value to both our properties. I sort went yay whatever, not really caring what he thought. Literally just wanting some sort of barrier between us and them. Anyways, my brother-in-law comes and installs the fence the whole way along our property, and it looked great. However, the neighbors were livid because the smooth side faced us and not them. Reason being, if they wanted to use our fence posts and do their own, they could, and we wouldn't have the smooth side facing another fence. Anyway, the neighbor went mental that the nice side faced us and said that it wasn't finished, and I said yes, it is. Also, if you want to use the fence posts to do your own, I didn't mind if you built on our fence. He then said, I thought you were going to do both of ours. He thought I was going to pay double for the materials/work so he could have a fence. Then, realizing what he meant by adding value to both our properties, I started laughing and said, no, if you want to build yours, go ahead. I said I might paint it and it would look better, and he said, well, you have to do both sides. Like literally dictating what I do on my own property. A few other things not quite as major, but annoying. They use our bins without asking. They power washed their back and got dirt all sprayed over our shed and just left it. They helped themselves to using our skip when we had it without asking. They wanted me to knock down the middle wall between our front gates so they could fit an electric car plus charger in. Impossible now with the fence. For the first 2 years of us living there, they had a broken down car in the middle of our driveway and never mentioned when it'd be removed or even if it was okay. Anyway, has anyone else dealt with people like this before? I'm so close to screaming at them to F off and mind their business, but I'm trying to be civil. We just want to come home after work and relax. I work as a scientist and my job is really stressful and requires long hours. My partner is the same. We're tempted to hire a voodoo priest or something just to get rid of them at this point. Jokes. Not really.